Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today, I will be discussing Heart and Hustle Houston episodes 3 and 4. Of course, I am behind schedule, so I'm taking this time to catch up. I'm off work this week, so it'll give me time to catch up on all my shows. So I'll probably be doing a lot of videos in the next few days on, of course, I'm catching up on Hard and Hustle Houston. Then I got to catch up with Sisters. Then I got to catch up on all the Queen's Men. So I'll be dropping those at any given time all this week. So, because there's like 8 episodes of both of them that I need to catch up on. Of course, I'm still trying to get to my 1,000 subscribers, and I will be doing a giveaway once I reach 1,000 subscribers. I will be doing 3 giveaways. I'm going to do a $25, I'm going to do a 50, and I'm going to do a 75. So once I reach 1,000 subscribers, I will be doing that giveaway. Um, Outside of that, and playing catch up, I think that's all I got going right now. So let's get this thing started. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the channel so you can help me get to my 1,000 subscribers, please. Um, Share the videos. And with that being said, let's get started. Okay. So this episode starts with Chloe receiving a call from Ro, and she tells her about um, when Latoria had told her about Elena saying that she couldn't pull a guy like Josh. So basically, the conversation is still on. They Josh isn't fine and she can't pull a guy like him. So they still stuck on the Josh situation, which at this point, I'm over the Josh situation. So the next scene, we're going to see where Latoria goes to the escape spa because Labrina has invited the ladies out for a spa day. She shut the spa down and invited all of the ladies, excluding Elena and Chloe. Um, Latoria ends up calling Munera cutesy and that, she looks really young. She told her she looks about 11. And so Munera wasn't too thrilled about being called young or that she looked at 11. So she's like, she's grown, whatever. The spa is really nice, and it looks like the ladies had um a nice time. I mean, the spa looked really nice for real. So, Labrina girl, you doing your thing. The very luxurious. It looked nice. I'm sure, it was nice because it looked nice from the outside looking in. While the other ladies went to get massages, Labrina and Latoria were talking, and she asked her about the man from the rodeo. And she lets her know that, she had worked with him for years, off and on. So, Labrina is pumping her up because she's like, girl, your cool probably got cobwebs. We need to get that thing dusted off, whatever the case may be. So she convinces Latoria to call the guy from the rodeo. She calls him, she does a little small talk and asks about meeting up for drinks or whatever. And, she was trying to meet up with him like super quickly. Dude was like, he was booked up and ended up scheduling something for like about 3 weeks out. And he honestly, he probably wanted to say he didn't want to go, but I guess he didn't have the balls to just, tell her straight up like that. But he ended up doing it 3 weeks out, 2, 3 weeks out, however far out it is. But she gets really excited, her and Labrina. But after she gets off the phone with him, they have another conversation. Labrina suggests, having an event at her house where she invites all the ladies and their men if they have one. So basically, she's inviting everybody. Latoria tells us, it's been 3 years since she's had sex. Baby, it'd be like that sometimes, Latoria. You do what's best for you, baby girl. Don't let nobody push you into sex when you don't have anyone that you're interested in to have sex with. So if you want to wait, wait. It's yours. So Rose said Latoria makes her feel uncomfortable, like she can't be herself. Basically, it's because Ro is authentically her, and she pretty much says whatever's on her mind, and evidently she likes to talk about sex and gets real graphic and into it. And Latoria doesn't like to really talk about sex. She can talk about everything else, but she's like she's not having sex, so there's really nothing to talk about. So, everybody doesn't like talking about sex. And it's not that everybody doesn't like talking about sex. Everybody isn't comfortable talking about sex. And she just may be one of those people that's not comfortable talking about sex. So the next scene we'll see is where Latoria goes to see Chloe. And, Chloe feels away because she wasn't invited to the spa. Now, why she's telling Latoria, I don't know, because it's not Latoria's spa. Latoria didn't invite you, didn't not invite you. It's Labrina's spa. She didn't invite you because she said she didn't want any drama at her establishment. Can't be mad at her for that. But she says Labrina owes her a spa day, which she'll probably get. Who knows? She tells her about Ro, telling her that she feels like she can't be herself because she feels like she's being judged by Latoria. And Latoria said it takes her back to her childhood because she's always been the darker, heavier set girl. And, she's had to monitor how she says stuff because anytime she says something in a way, people tend to feel like she's being aggressive when she's not. So people were thinking she was a bully when she's not. So she has to tone herself down with a lot of stuff that she says. So she feels like she's being taken back to that dealing with these group of ladies. Manera and Ro talk about the apple juice thing. And I'm getting this thing with Munera where she's talking about the age and the apple juice because she doesn't drink, because she's too young, or she looks so young. I am personally over it. I've gotten over this conversation because Monera, honestly, yeah, you look young, but you don't look that damn young. I'm over it at this point because y'all just harping on this thing and it's getting on my god doggone nerves. So obviously she's really offended by this, but she claims she isn't. And Ro is talking about maybe it's a trigger for her. And she's like, it's not. But then she goes into the confessional and she's telling us about because of her workplace, um, she looks younger than what she is, and she's having to tell all these people what to do. And I'm assuming they were second guessing her because she looked like she was young and probably didn't have the experience and didn't know what she was talking about. So basically, it is a trigger for you. You just don't want to say it's a trigger, but it's definitely a trigger for you. So Munera tells Rose she has an RBF. Can't get mad at Rose for having an RBF because honestly, I got one of them too. I got one of those at all times. So, baby girl, I understand. That RBF it be there. It be mugging. The RBF be mugging, baby. We're gonna see where Ro goes to see a therapist. She says she was a little uncomfortable and she feels like she doesn't have anyone to talk to. And she realizes that she puts everything and everyone before herself. She says her relationship with her daughter was being affected because, she come home stressed or however her day went at work, and her daughter is trying to talk to her and she blows up on her daughter. So of course she's having to apologize because her daughter hasn't done anything to her. There's just stuff she's taken from work and brought home to her daughter. Now she says she doesn't want to trauma dump, and she buries everything she feels. So the therapist ends up giving her, because she's talking about, her relationship with the ladies and how she feels like she can't be herself around them. So basically, the therapist tells her that she needs to go and find herself in each of the ladies, which is her homework for the next time she comes back to therapy. So back at the ranch, Labrina is getting everything ready for this event. They're having a crawfish, and it seems like, baby, these people in Houston love crawfish because even on the other show that was in Houston, the little real estate show, doggone, I forgot the name of it. I have forgotten the name of it, but they were eating crawfish there too. So evidently they love crawfish out there in Houston. We'll see where all the ladies arrive. Chloe arrives with her young man. And, she's talking about all the ladies' mouth drops, and he was so fine this, and he was so fine that. And I'm looking like, he was okay. I didn't think he was all that she was making him seem to be, because I thought when I saw him he was gonna be drop dead gorgeous or something. Hey, maybe it's just me. He just didn't give me all that, but evidently they all thought he was cute or whatever. And Chloe said all the ladies' mouth dropped. I didn't see that. I don't see why they should, because he wasn't all that, but I digress. While they were there, Latoya mentioned to, Elena about, Chloe is an event planner. Would you be interested in getting remarried? Of course. Rose said, in the confessional, so Latoya says she a woman of God, but baby, you being a little devil right now, because of all the things that, because all the ladies are like, with everything that's going on with Elena, read the room. That wasn't something that you needed to say. Read the room, and baby, Latoya did not read the room. So her husband's like, that's something that he would, consider at the next milestone at like 20 years. But, Elena wants to know why wait to 20 when they could do it this year at 15. Because Chloe's like, everything that has happened in her life, with her husband and everything, and people dying, you may not make it to 20. Of course, you want to make it to 20, but there's no guarantee that you will make it there. So, Baby Josh was trying to get off that conversation. He wasn't hearing that. Chloe made the statement that she would marry Jordan, which is the little young guy that she brought up in there. Now, why is she talking about marrying this dude? And they've only been together like 6 months. I don't know, but that ain't got nothing to do with me. And I guess Jordan was like, would you have thought he was 28 after talking to him? And Elena was like, it's guys like that in high school. So she said she would have given him 25. So she was like, would that have been his age thought? Would you have thought he was the age he was after you actually sat and had a conversation with him? And like I said, she gave him 25. I don't know where she got that from, because homeboy give me every bit of he in his early 30s. Shoot, he give me every bit of he in his 30s. I don't get 25. I don't get it. I don't see it. I don't know where the heck Elena looking at. I don't know what's in her eyes, but I do not get 25 when I look at that man. But I digress, because he definitely looks older than what he is. Anyway, we see where Labrina pulls Jordan to the side, and he tells her that he's cut off everyone for Chloe. And after the conversation they have, Labrina feels like Jordan has good intentions, but she doesn't think he'll be able to execute those good intentions because, he's so young and he hasn't really lived life. So he might have the best of intentions, but being as you haven't lived life, you gonna make a lot of mistakes growing up. So there's that. Ro tells the ladies that she has started therapy, and we get back on the subject of Manera and her talking about how young she looks, and Latoria making her feel some type of way. So Latoria basically like, baby, I won't even joke with you anymore. So now, Munera feels away because she was like, Latoria just not getting it. But at this point, I'm with doggone Latoria. Baby, I won't joke with you no more. You ain't got to worry about me saying he, ha, ha, or nothing with you ever again. So she's like, baby, I just won't joke with you no more and call it a day. It is what it is. Now, Ro ends up pulling her to the side and they have a conversation. And she's explaining to her that it might be a trigger for Munera. And, she doesn't want her to, stop being open because, Latoria ready to close up shop and stop dealing with y'all. And I ain't mad at her because I'm sick of Munera and this young conversation. I'm sick of it. Excuse me, y'all. And basically, this is how this scene, this episode ends, where her saying that she won't joke with her anymore because evidently that's a trigger for Munera. I'm over that. I'm seriously over that. At the start of the next episode, Chloe and Jordan are gonna be having date night. Chloe talks about, how they're gonna be when they get older. She says she's not gonna be this pretty, she's gonna have wrinkles, she's gonna be saggy. Jordan's like, baby, you're gonna have to stay in the gym. You're gonna have to get it together because you can't be out here looking like this, that, and third. You're gonna have to get it together. You're gonna have to get it together. And they go to talking about her son, and Jordan's like, he's gonna have to do this, he's gonna have to do that. And I'm just like, Jordan, you barely older than her son. And I just thought he was doing too much. He was doing too much because I don't know if your parents probably put you out at an early age and you had to get it out the mud or whatever, but she don't want to do that with her son, and you can't force her to do that. And if you trying to push that issue with her, you and her are gonna have a not so nice relationship. You got to realize y'all are 17 years apart, and that is a mother and her son. You don't try to come between that, homeboy. You may look older than what you are, but you basically just like another one of her kids. But hey, I digress. Um, Next we're gonna see where Latoria talks to her counselor, therapist, whichever one you want to call it. And she said she felt like she's still talking about the conversation, talking about how she was bigger and people thought she was aggressive, and she wants to be in a safe space with the ladies. And she asked her if she would come talk to the ladies. And of course, the therapist counselor lady said that she would, as long as all the ladies agree, she would be more than happy to do so. We're going to see with Monera and her husband, they go out with her mother. Monera feels caught in the middle because she feels like she's always having to call her mother to do stuff because, she has the businesses. So she feels like she's failing because she's dropping the ball when it comes to being a wife and a mother, but she has work to do. So they're like, you're out taking care of your family, doing stuff for your family. So nobody feels away because you're working. And they talk about, the mom was like, baby, you feel the way you can start paying me. But she was like, she doesn't want her to feel like this is, her job, that she's obligated to do this. And of course, the mom is like, she would do anything for them. Her husband tells the mom that, he appreciates her and everything that she does for them. And she tells him that she couldn't see her daughter with anybody else. She loves how he loves her and take care of their family and all this, that, and third. But they're grateful to have him, and she couldn't see her daughter with anybody else. So Monera is like, oh, this is so sweet. And everybody's all lovey-dovey in this little family mother-daughter husband date thingy. Next, we're going to see where Labrina comes home and she's telling her husband about, she has a child with her husband, and then she has an older child with someone else, and he's like 15, and she said he spends part of the time with her and spends part of the time with his father. But the times when he's there with her, his grades are where they're supposed to be because she pushes grades and stuff like that. However, when he goes to be with his father or stays with his father, there's more leniency. So his grades have started to slip, and she needs his grades to get back up because she wants him to come back and stay with her full time so we can get these grades up. Now, and that's basically how that went. The next scene, we're gonna go to Chloe's house, baby, and Chloe has offered the dog wine. The dog's name was Romeo something, but she asked the dang dog if he wanted some wine, and I was sitting there looking to see if she was gonna actually pour this dog some wine. I'm like, what in the ham sandwich? But hey, who knows? Child, these people crazy. Anyway, Nico comes in and Chloe asks Nico what's wrong. Of course, he calls her weird because she's dating somebody that's like 4 years older than him. And she doesn't feel like she's weird, but you gotta come on, at that age, because don't act like you were never a child before. I'm sure you thought your mom or your dad was weird. Everybody has probably thought their parents were weird at some point. I mean, that's just what kids do. They always gonna think their parents are weird. But as they get older, they'll see stuff differently. But when they in that young age, them late teens, early 20s, everything their parents do is weird. You weird, girl. And you sitting here dating a dude that's 4 years older than your son, yeah, you are weird. And hell, I think you're weird. And whatever. Cause I mean, I understand people like what they like, but for you to date someone that close to your son's age, yeah, it's getting weird. It's getting pedo. It's giving baby girl. It's no. But who am I? Who am I? I ain't even got a man right now, so it don't even matter. But anyway, he did start being really disrespectful because he was talking about they ended up staying with her mom when it was younger, and she was talking about how she was grinding, trying to get out the mud, and he was telling her you didn't help his grandma pay not one bill, and she's like, she feels like she failed because she was trying to get established, but he didn't see it that way. He saw it as you weren't really doing anything. Grandma was right for him, but hey, I digress. Both of y'all need to go to therapy. And basically she was telling him that he needs some kind of backup plan. And he ended the conversation. He walks out. So there was that. Labrina ends up having dinner with her parents. She lets us know that they got divorced when she was 2. And she had the question of what's a good age for kids to leave home. Her dad was like 18. And it's a lot of Black parents that love to say when a kid reaches 18, they gotta go. They gotta go. And she's basically saying, she left home, but she felt like she wasn't equipped with the necessary tools that she needed to succeed out here in this world. And had she not been on her grind, she probably would. Well, she did struggle, but at some point, she got on her grind. Everybody's not going to do that. And, the Black community does have a strong um sense of pushing kids out when they turn 18. When you 18, they be like, you gotta go. You gotta go. You ain't contributing to the household, you gotta go. And you just like, at 18, what do kids really know? We didn't know anything at 18. So you want us to get out there and get it out the mud. And you think about it, you struggled when you got out there at 18. Why would you want your kids to get out there and struggle at that age too? I feel like, we should try to help our kids for as long as possible, but you can't become a crutch for them. But if your kids need you, if they need to stay at home past the age of 18, shoot, why not? Why not? But that's just me. Anyway, of course, she was telling her mom how and her dad how life was hard for her. She felt like there was no grace. Mom ended up apologizing, and she felt like, she did the best she could. And Labrina doesn't want to, be that parent that puts her child out like that. So her mom agrees that things could have been better. And she states that it was done with love. And she was like, you could have always come back. You could have always come home. And Labrina was like, baby, you didn't even want to be there. Why would I come back? Anyway, after that, we're going to see where Latoria invites all the ladies to meet with Miss Sylvia, which is her therapist counselor. And, Latoria tells the ladies about the therapist. She speaks to them, and she lets them know that, everybody comes with baggage. They like the bag lady. They all come with something. Lena talks about her husband, and, she's like, he knows what he needs to do to get her back to a safe space with him. Chloe is talking about, what has he done? Where are your friends? What's the root of your pain? And then she's like, she's holding back because she's trying to protect Josh. And me personally, I know she said that Josh cheated during the engagement. Josh has cheated since the engagement. I'm sorry. He has cheated in this marriage. He probably got some kids and some outside children, because Josh did more than just cheat in this engagement. She's just the way she is doing and how she is feeling. Josh has cheated during his marriage. I'm sorry, he has cheated during his marriage. Now, whether or not she gonna sit here and you know take this to the end of the episode, I mean, to the end of the season, I don't know. But Josh has cheated more than in that engagement. I'm sorry, that's just how I feel. Course, Ro talks about her daughter, and she was like, she started middle school, and they talking about how mean the kids are, and she's trying to find the best way to parent her during this time frame, and she doesn't want to talk to her mother about it because her mother will come with the old ways of doing stuff like beat her and stuff like that, and those old traditions is not something that she wants to do with her daughter. She wants to break the cycle. Of course, Labrina then talks about having her son at a young age. She feels like it hardened her, and she was focused on survival. And when she talks about the survival aspect of it, it makes Chloe feel like she's in survival mode. And she wonders if that is how her son feels. She said, while he was growing up, she couldn't worry about how he felt. She was more concerned with getting the bills paid. So she wonders if that's where she fails her son. So she gets emotional and go to crying and stuff. We find out Latoya lost her dad about a year ago, and she feels this is the toughest year of her life because her dad was her best friend. She mentions the age joke about Munira and how she felt like she took it wrong. Of course, she apologized. Elena jumps into the conversation and said Munera doesn't like being called cute. They go back and forth for a little bit. Eventually, Latoya apologizes to Munera, and they move forward from there. I hope, because I'm sick of this age thing. I really am. I'm over it. Chloe then invites the ladies out to a single ladies night where she invites Elena, Ro, Latoria, and she has a surprise guest for them, which is Shaquiqui. Thanks, shout out to Ro. Ro said it's Shaquiqui, baby. And the ladies don't quite like the surprise because they want to know who all is gonna be there so they can feel comfortable. Because they're like, they don't really know her like that, so they can't be open and really having conversations because they don't know her like that. So they didn't appreciate the surprise. And Shaquiqui comes in on 10. And, Latoria's like, they communicated via Facebook 10 years ago. The girl pulls out doggone emails talking about we didn't communicate on Facebook 10 years ago. But these emails, they communicated via email. However, it still was 10 years ago. The girl never said she didn't know her because Chloe in her big mouth told Shaquiqui that Latoria didn't remember her. And it's because she's like, do you know me or not? Do you know me or not? And she doing too much because the girl never said she didn't know her. She couldn't remember where she knew her from, but she did know she knew her. And so she making it seem like they had this magnificent, she made it seem deeper than what it was because all y'all did was exchange emails. So basically the girl don't know you. She really don't. And you trying to say it wasn't 10 years ago when it really was 10 years ago. And baby Chloe said, you came with these receipts from AOL. Rose said, this is crazy. You are weird, which it is weird. How you going to sit here and get upset with this lady because if she don't remember you from 10 years ago, shit, I don't remember some shit I did 10 minutes ago. Shit. All right, so stop that. I be thinking about doing something, then I'll be sitting there like, what am I supposed to be doing? But she don't remember you. When you get you get up over these 40s, baby, you go to forgetting shit. And you 10 years ago, she don't remember you. Shaquiqui. Right. I like that road. Rosa Shaquiqui, baby. Shaquiqui. Latoria do not remember you. And you need to exit the group chat because we don't like you. And you just sat here and called Ro a bitch. And you ain't had no reason to do that. You did because what you did, you are weird. So you really didn't have no reason to call this lady a bitch. But either way it go, that is how this episode ends. With Shaquiqui calling Ro a bitch. And I guess Saturday we'll be back with the next episode. And I'll be back on track. And with that being said, that is the end of this review. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Help me get to my 1,000 subscribers so I can do this giveaway. And I will talk to you guys soon. Y'all have an amazing day. Bye.